Good morning, everyone. My name is Alex Cunningham. I work for the Mindful Compass, my own business, and I'm here to begin the summit with a guided meditation entitled Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. And the reason this is a useful practice is we can be so busy trying to improve the world, trying to change the world. All of the people you're about to see constantly moving from task to task, and we can sometimes forget to take time to appreciate some of the things that came before. So, for this particular practice, I'm going to invite you to bring to mind some people from different phases of your life, from your childhood, from your adulthood or working life, and someone from the public eye, someone who you maybe look up to or who has influenced you in some way. So, as I guide, I'm going to try to keep my eyes open, but you're very welcome to let yours close now as we start the practice. And just take a moment to feel into your posture. If you're standing, you can feel how your feet are resting on the floor. But if you're sitting, again, your feet are still resting on the floor, but we can feel how the body is being held and supported by the chair. And here in the UK at the moment, it's pretty cold, it's pretty wet. So I'm going to invite you to imagine a nice fire of some kind, a cozy fire. So if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, that might be in a pub, it might be in a home, it might be a log fire, a gas fire. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, then maybe it's a bonfire. Somewhere safe though, somewhere on the beach perhaps. Just taking a moment to imagine what it would be like to be sitting in a nice, comfortable chair next to that fire, feeling some of its warmth, listening to some of the sounds it makes, the crackling, and enjoying watching the flames dancing in front of your eyes. So as you sit there, you might notice that there are 4 chairs. You're in one of them. And I'd like you to think of someone from your childhood who really stepped up and made a difference for you in some way. So it can be your parents, but it might be an aunt or grandparent. It might be the mother or father of a friend, a coach, a teacher. I'd like you to pick one person, probably the first one who springs to mind. You don't need to overthink this. And imagine them walking into the scene. So, cozy pub, sitting room, or maybe the beach. Taking a place in one of the other chairs and taking a moment to appreciate the fire before them, just as we did. And as you imagine this person sitting and enjoying the fire, I'd like you to take a moment to reflect on what they mean to you. How did they step in and have a positive influence on your life? What might the whole be like if they weren't there at that time? And then in your head, as if you were talking to them in person, and here I best mention it doesn't matter if these people are no longer with us, we can still connect with them through the practice, knowing they have a place in our heart. Just saying some phrases of gratitude and appreciation. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for creating a safe space. But whatever it is, filling in some detail based on what you would like to say to that person. If we feel sleepy during practice, we can just focus slightly more on the in breath or take a slightly deeper in breath, fill ourselves with a bit more oomph, wake ourselves up a little. Then imagine a second person coming into the scene. This person from your adulthood, from say 20s onwards, perhaps, but it could be really recent, any period you like. But choosing one person, again, it could be a mentor from work, might be someone who helped you spiritually or in your local community, a neighbor. Picking one and imagining them taking a seat and enjoying the fire, reflecting on what this person means to you, reflecting on the time of life that they came into your lives, the kind of influence and support they offered you, and how important that was to you at that time. And again, internally, what would you say if you could talk to them and say thank you? Just a few phrases. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for nurturing or mentoring me. Again, enjoying a few slightly deeper in breaths. Then imagining a fourth person, yourself, your childhood person, your adulthood person, and now someone from the public eye. So we can go back as far as you want. Might be someone like Gandhi, Martin Luther King, or someone from more recent times, Barack Obama, David Attenborough. For me, there's Thich Nhat Hanh, who's been so influential in terms of bringing meditation and wisdom to this part of the world. So if it's a struggle on this one, you might choose someone's music or someone's art that just happened to touch you at the right time. Maybe a writer whose words or whose books provided you with great succor, a place to go and feel safe, perhaps. So imagining one person, choosing that person, letting them come into this scene, whether it's bonfire if you're in a warmer part of the world, or if it's somewhere in the northern hemisphere around a cozy fire. Watching them sit down in your mind's eye and maybe reaching out their hands to warm them. And again, for the last time, taking a moment to appreciate this person. But what was it about their work and their words or their creations that made such an impact on you? It might just be such a wholesome person that knowing their existence on this planet is just enough to know they're there or they have been there. But they may have had a huge influence in the way you see the world, in the way you talk about certain topics. And again, internal dialogue as if you could speak directly to this person. Dear whoever it is, thank you. Elaborating as much or as little as you feel comfortable doing at this time. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for standing up for others, perhaps. Then having a sense of all four of these chairs filled with you and the three allies, I'll call them, who've made a difference in your life at times. Just beginning to notice your breath. If you want to, rest a hand lightly on the heart and feel how this hand rises and falls as we breathe in and out. Allowing this breath to connect the four of you as you sit in front of the fire. Then imagining almost like a camera panning out from your scene to move further out to notice that there are countless fires all around us. Every person attending this summit with their group of four chairs, every relation and friend, every neighbor, former colleagues, future colleagues, thousands, millions, billions of fires. So as we move into the beginning of this men's summit, knowing that we truly stand on the shoulders of giants, and that those giants are actually people like you and me, people who've reached out, made a difference to others, and tried to make the world a better place. So I'll invite you to take a deep breath to finish. Have a stretch if you need one. And it gives me great pleasure to hand over to Dylan, who will be introducing the summit for us today.
Thank you so much, Alex, for setting up our day with a guided practice centered upon awareness and gratitude. Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you from wherever you may be dialing in. Today is our annual Men's Summit, where we'll be bringing people and communities together, but more specifically, trailblazing men, change makers, and allies, all intent on holding space for dialogues and connecting these to action. My name is Dylan Shimon. My pronouns are he, she, and I am the learning experience designer at Equality Leaders. And I'm part of a wider team of aspiring change makers whose mission really is to make diversity, equity, and inclusion your everyday. Our purpose is simple. It's to be your most impactful DE&I partner. We take a disruptive, innovative, and compassionate approach to equip you with the tools to become change enablers and accelerate your learning journeys. But before we begin today in earnest, I believe it important to acknowledge current events happening around us, devastating events unfolding before us, impacting men, women, children, entire communities in immeasurable traumatic ways. Artist and writer Cami Zia writes, "Let the grief of injustice break your heart. Let it shatter your worldview. Let it enrage and fuel you, lighting the way to march, to call, donate, vote, to speak up loudly and often. Let it move you." And today's summit really is about speaking up loudly. It's about crafting space for men to speak openly, honestly, and vulnerably, sharing with one another and you their journeys and all the ways in which they are navigating inclusive leadership, fatherhood, and their mental health. They are storytellers, sons, brothers, leaders, husbands, spouses, partners, fathers, and so much more. And we learn today how as men, they are stepping in to show up, not just for themselves, but for their families, their organizations and teams, as well as their communities. They cannot do this alone, however. We all have a part to play in disrupting a harmful status quo, disrupting those traditional masculine narratives. November is Men's Health Awareness Month. So let today be the beginning of working through our fears, of speaking up about our mental health, overcoming all that stigma, and instead embrace change to live more wholeheartedly. We have a full day packed with panels and storytellers, opportunities to network, and of course a swag bag brimming with additional resources to support you all on your learning journeys, which can be downloaded on our Men's Summit website. And getting the summit off the ground is our first panel of the day, a conversation guided by our very own EVP of Inclusive Business Transformation, Ian Beckett, who's going to be joined by his co-panelists to speak to the ways in which we can bring men on the DE&I journey, asking the crucial question, how do we transform more men into DE&I change makers? Over to you, Ian. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Jared, and your co-panelists for a great conversation and for bringing our summit to an end. And so it's up to me now just to share some reflections and close the day. So on behalf of the entire team here at Equality Leaders, again, I just want to express our gratitude for you joining us at our Men's Summit. A special thank you goes to our moderators, our panelists, our storytellers, who've all provided us throughout the day with plenty learnings, ample reflection, but also those actionable steps on how we can all begin building those enabling environments for men to embrace new emotionally literate masculinities, to speak more openly about their mental health, have the support needed to show up as fathers, and bringing them into the DE&I fold. You know, DE&I programs have by nature been designed to address the inequities and the biases experienced by marginalized or minoritized groups. And so inclusion strategies are formed around these unique barriers and challenges that these groups face. And of course, an unintended outcome of framing DE&I in these very focused ways is that the dominant employee group, which tend to be white men, are often left out of the equation and therefore significantly less engaged in DE&I efforts than their underrepresented colleagues. This has distanced them from authentically buying into the practices of DE&I and has become an unfortunate consequence, right? Considering, as our panel at the start of the day mentioned, it's white men who usually hold positions of power as the majority and are those hierarchical decision makers, right? And so they are an incredibly influential employee group that we need in driving real change. But as our dialogues today have shown, these are multifaceted, nuanced dynamics at play, right? And to lead more inclusively demands of all of us as both men and allies to grapple with these big topics. And today's summit has afforded us that opportunity, right, to come together, to bridge communities, to connect as humans and have respectfully curious, bold conversations. We've held space for one another to tell our stories, share our perspectives, and knowledge build. And this, we hope, has given you the momentum and tools needed to advocate for the men in your lives, networks, and communities, for them to step in and continue doing the work. Our speakers and storytellers have taken us on a journey, providing us with clarity on the fact there truly is no one way to be a man. So I'd like to leave you with the words of author Bell Hooks, who writes, "It is not true that men are unwilling to change. It is true that many men are afraid to change. We hope today is that starting point, a new beginning for compassion and connection, and for men to liberate themselves. Thank you once again, and we look forward to hosting you next time. Bye for now.